Hello, and welcome back. To say I'm a little bit annoyed is actually an understatement. Obviously, I've already had what I've dubbed the missing episode, but last night I had a pivotal gaming session where I had two recording sessions, one of which did record. That was the build-up to the most important thing. You will notice that we're up to 136,918. This is because I cleared all of the digestate and all of those bales. You'll see some of this in the previous episode, but what you don't see is me trouncing around and taking all of the digestates from the digester to the slurry yard. It was quite amazing. We actually did cover an awful lot. Also, of 80,000 litres, which again I've mentioned a few times in my past, and there are records of it going up to 50,000. I think even it showed on the last episode where it was up to 80 odd thousand. In fact, there was more than 80,000 in the end. So I took that 80,000 to the biogas plant and then got the digestate from that later in the day. So you'll notice the time is 3:10. Obviously there is from this morning, first session, and I don't know when the episode before ends, but you'll note the time on the previous episode when that ends and that there is a gap. That gap is me ferrying digestate to the slurry yard, and we did so much of building up cash. I was talking about this, I was talking about not expanding, so I'm trying to backtrack to record this session really to piece the sections of it back together. We literally, let me just show you, it's easier. I did courseplay on this field, we did the spreading and all of that type of stuff. So let's just show you on this. There you go. You'll note that the pH value on the new FS19 is done. So I did the field sensor, I did the lime spreading, which took about 14,000. I don't know if you recall on field 5, the very first time we put lime on, and I said it was a mistake, that it had wasted so much. I'm not so sure it was. I think it just had no lime for so long. That took about 12,000. I think I had a couple of thousand left of lime on that one. This one took about 11,000. Slightly bigger. So literally I don't know that it was a mistake on 5. I think it was just the fact that it needed so much lime. So the liming's been done, the nitrogen's been done on all 3 fields. I think the only thing that I haven't done is, well, no, I even did the spraying. I did the spraying except on field 5. As you can see, there's weeds on field 5, but I did 16, I did 19. So I've done all that work, and it's all, you know, the one thing that I really was big on, as you guys know, was dragging you guys along. Yeah, there's a sprayer. That was the last field I actually did. Was dragging you guys along so you could see everything. I don't like this where you miss things. That's the entire why I'm concentrating just on the farming, and I'm not doing contracts and things like that. Because I want this to be about the expansion of the farm. So, without further ado, let's have a bit of a taz around, and I'll try and catch up. There were lots of thoughts. First of all, I wasn't going to expand because of the late. We're in mid-autumn, and I thought, oh, it's a waste of time buying this field. But this is, I think, what we're going to go for. We're going for expansion. And grass doesn't have to remain grass. This is obviously on the bright orange, but it's not fertilised, so we should get a goodly amount from it. So this is my thing. I think it's 143,000 to buy that field, and we're 144,000, sorry, and we're at 136. So let's go and have a look at the animals, and we'll drop this sprayer unit off. That was the other thing I was talking about. That may be in the last recording session though, is I would like to buy the other spray, the much more expensive one with a 28 litre spread, from the Vernon pack. So yeah, it's that's pretty much the gist of it. Obviously there was an awful lot of work done, but that we can't redo what was done. But I am sort of explaining where that huge amount of money came from. Literally, we had so much digestate from that, the previous sets of bales, and obviously the payout from the biogas as well, which that was expected. Again, you'll see maybe in the previous episode. It is a bit confusing even for me, because obviously I'm not long finished checking that out, but I didn't look at the episode enough to remember what actually was on the episode completely. So let's just drop this spray unit off, and then we'll go to the animals. Yeah, I am really upset. I don't know what happened, because I did press. This time I've got the frames per second. I don't know if that shows on the recording or whether it's just an overlay. I suspect it's just an overlay that will only appear to me rather than be on the recording, but I might be wrong. But when I press record on my on this button, it literally says start recording, so you get a visual message that it started. Again, this is the second time it's done this, and both times that it's gone wrong has been when I've recorded. I think it was at this very point where I said goodbye on one episode. I then pressed stop recording, and then I pressed start recording, and I got the visual, I got the stop and the start message. So I do not know why the second session didn't start, whether it is something to do with capturing the window of the recording software and it's better for me to literally come out of the game and restart the game. I will test this, because I really do not want to be losing, 45 minutes, and this was a pivotal 45 minutes. This was us earning a lot of money. So again, something that I really don't want to be, you know how I feel about this. I don't want to be I've got 136,000 appeared by magic. That annoys me to the really annoys me. So yeah, I am not happy, to say the least, but c'est la vie, nothing I can do about it. Or what's the old saying, you can't no point crying over spilt milk. So very true. It's done, it's gone. I am going to try to do a bit of a test now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press stop recording, and then I am going to press start recording. Then I'm going to come out of the game, and then I'm going to see if there are two recordings in my recording bin, just to make sure that it isn't anything like that. I'm trying to swing wide as if I've got something on there. So yes, let's shut the gate. So maybe some ways though, we all know that the menus, let's just have a look at the menus, because with this only being, no, I didn't buy any equipment, so I didn't sell anything, only vehicles, land purchase, today, construction cost, sold wood, property income. Did it show you biogas? Yes, look at that. 152,000. Does that mean that's what I'm going to get tonight? Or that's what I have got? No, harvest income, 152,608. I obviously did. Oh, of course, I paid the loan off. Yeah, even if it's not making much sense to me. Right, yeah, 57,240 income. So 200 and odd thousand income from harvest, which is the slurry yard, and 57,240 from that. I then paid the loan off, which you will note we have no loan now, so that's why we would have had obviously over 200, nearly 210,000 there. So, and we also obviously did have quite a lot of cash on hand, otherwise I wouldn't have the 136,000. I've also got the income from the solar panel, 6,750. So I hope that makes it quite clear where all of the money has come from, because you can see it there in black and white, or grey and white. Oh, and black and white. Right, so I hope that clears up and does satisfy, because it does and it doesn't me, because obviously I put quite a lot of time, and it was a pivotal, as you can tell from all the work that got done and all of the money there. Not an episode you want not to show on a Let's Play where a lot of things happened. I use the, well, I'll show you. I used the milling machine. That was, I have never seen anything like it. It was massively up on the right hand side to the point where, just see if you can still see it, was actually going over the top. I can't see it, not need to be, I know what I need to do. Let's use this to its best. Climb on the bonnet. I love doing that. It's amazing the way you can climb in this game. I know this game, or Giants, do get a bashing off a lot of people, but there are some things in this game that are absolutely phenomenal. That's still not high enough. Let's get on the move. Can you still see it? No, it actually had. You know, when it overflows, it literally was hanging on that corner, the manure, to the point where it was literally. I've never seen it do that. It usually. I've used this model lots of times. It normally spreads evenly, the manure builds up evenly, but for some reason it was heavily on the right hand side. You can still see it sort of like that again. It seems to be building up more on that right hand side than it does on the left, and it had got to such an extent that it was literally overflowing on the right hand side. I don't mean it did overflow, but it did go over the top, as in the stain of manure was actually on that top panel. So yeah, it's quite phenomenal, because even I've never seen that. It's quite amazing when things that you've not seen happen. Let's have a look at the animals while we're here. Let's not stand around chattering. Yeah, oh wow, it's up to 19,000 again. Right, let's have a look for births. 1.6 year, wow. That's Little Spring. Yes, you can see the evidence that I worked hard on it, because there we go. I think the argon, yeah, I washed that and everything, so that's all good. That's it. I picked up I dumped the contents of the total mix ration down here, and then I was quite meticulous. You would have been quite proud of me, I think. I then grabbed the manure out of the pit, took that, ferried 40,000 full loads over to the biogas plant, dumped that. I then, a pivotal moment, I actually washed the Vinhus out so that no one could say that I'd put clean food back into a wagon that I'd used for manure. So all of these moments, pivotal recording moments, lost, never to be seen. But anyway, at least you've sort of caught up, and I think that is it, literally where I'm going to leave. So now I'm going to do a test. This is just a catch-up session so that you can see literally why the money is up to where it is, and obviously understand why. So I think this is just, yeah, I've got some spraying to do here. In fact, yeah, let's make this session into something a little bit more. Let's go and get the should have kept it on this tractor, shouldn't I? That's just typical. Right, let's go get that on. That's in the way of these Sammys. I need to pull him back. We're just going to get his nose clipped when I spray. And I also need to move that trailer. Yeah, I think that's the other thing as well. The other thing that I said on the recording was that all of these bales, let me just show you, these turned to... It was such a bumper session, because obviously I've said today recording session, they turned to silage, so we'd get those 40 and these 4, sorry, the 36 on the Adjuranti and these 4 on here, would get those over to the biogas plant, which we will do later at a proper recording session. This is more of a test to make sure that if I go in game and do a second recording, that it is actually working, that's not the problem, because it seems to be both times I've done that my recording software says it's recording, so therefore I think, oh wow, that's brilliant, everything's okay. But then when I come out and try and find my second recording, it isn't there, and that's exactly what happened the other day when I did the tractor. When I went to buy the tractor, I paused the game within the game. I then went and I bought the tractor and ferried it back, and then you see me... It's bizarre though, because it did actually, it's very strange, because when I recorded a second time, it's alright, I suppose it's a little minute, I can't recall whether I did actually end that session and then come back in at that time, so I'm just doing some testing to make sure that my recording software is recording properly, because it's we can't have this. We can't have. I've actually got 2 sets of recording software. The software I'm using is following Frithgar's advice. Actually, he was saying how good this software was, and I've got to be honest, his episodes are fantastic. So yeah. And I know he's had some problems with it himself, which all people do with all kinds of things like that, but not a lot. Obviously, your content creator doesn't rely on a piece of software that's a load of rubbish. So, yeah, again, it's teething problems, no doubt. So it could be a clash with something or other, or I've got to do something else. But I've just got to, at the minute, get to grips with making sure that my recording software is working properly when I stop and start. I've got to be able to trust that and see what the problem is, because I know, especially on the back of the other recording session fails, I'm obviously on it, as anybody would be when you've lost one recording. You are paying far more attention than you normally would on such a thing as your recordings, because again, you don't want to be wasting 45 minutes, especially with that episode. It was a pivotal one. It was one where everything was coming together. This entire Let's Play is precision farming with seasons and obviously expansion. To see how well I can do, that's what I love about this, is to see how many fields, how much we can do in 1 year, the first season, from spring to spring. How well do we do? What levels of expansion can we get from the start from scratch, with the challenge of the start from scratch, with having no fields, to how many fields do I finish with, what sort of cash do I get, what equipment have I bought, that kind of thing. We all love that about this game, the expansion side of it. So, and that's obviously what I'm trying to give maximum expansion, whether that's in the number of fields or the equipment or a combination of the two, or the amount of cows we've got, or all those type of things. And when it's such a pivotal, when you've earned 209,000 and all you've got is the writing on the screen to show, it's such a letdown, because obviously this is all about, as I've said so frequently, it's all about the journey, and I'm inviting you guys in to follow this journey with me. And then one of the pivotal times of that journey, on how we got to 136,000 and how we paid a massive 110,000 loan off in that one pivotal episode, is missing. So just change things. Right. Let's get this going, and then we'll carry on so I can let's do this one since the window's changed. Now, the only thing that you do when you do a field edge course, unless they change it in this latest generation, is you have to click on this every single time. If you make a mistake when you generate, you have to click back on that to say field edge. Then it does the currently loaded course, and you can see that there. You don't need to click on the thing, because literally I've loaded a course with that edge in. And at this point, get your options correct. One around the edge, overlap of 9, and go. You cannot regenerate the course, because it doesn't. You've loaded the course and it unloads the course in between. So just a little tiny tip on course play. It can be very confusing. Right, okay then, let's drive that. Now I need to shift Sammy out the way before he gets his nose knocked. In fact, yeah, we may as well just leave the trailer. I don't think that's hanging over too much. No, it's not. Let's just back up a little. Here comes Mr. Smith. Just drop that wedge. Right, I can see that's very heavy. Only just managing to do that. I have actually got wheel weights on this. but obviously it is a little tractor as well, so let's put that on its shelf. Push it on a bit more or less. I know it's not dangerous to the cows, but it would be. There we go. Let's part of that mix. Yeah, the rubber water straw and everything, so did that on the other recording session with us being halfway through the day, so right, okay then, so I'll tell you what we could do while that's doing that, and that is, I've done this the wrong way around really. Should we use the big sum of what I'm going to do now? Right, I am going to need a Volvo as well, so I need to go for the little, spray the cow. Oh, small things for small minds, that is just hilarious. Right, let's get this started and get it on following. Let's just tip that with the string as well. Right, let's remember. I'm going to swap implements because we don't know that I need the big bag handler. I really don't think I do, but if anything happened, at least I've got the big bag handler and I'm not going to need to shovel a bale on that. So let's just play this as realistic as possible. Let's do that. Oops. Let's go like that. In fact, let's leave with this. The Sammy on follow me. Of course, it's the faster of the two. That way, I can't speed off. I'm going to lose it. I did it the other way around. Let's go and get those bales to the BGA, as I said, and as I make this into a proper recording session, what I'll do is I'm going to do a test at the end of this recording session, which will be when I've taken those to the BGA. That will be the where we end it at that point, and then I'm going to literally test after that to make sure that I can record another session, even if it's only a few seconds as a test, at a session after a session. And if I know that it won't, then obviously I'll talk to the D3D support guys and see if there's anything I can do to fix it, or otherwise, if I know I can't and I need to save the game, come out of the game, or to the menu point and then restart the game, then that's what I'll do. It's all about knowing how the software works. Again, this is probably something that a lot of content creators do understand, whereas maybe I'm new to this, to the recordings and all the rest of it, so I've learned quite a bit and tried to organise my recordings far better than I'm not that I'm doing any field work that I'm aware of anyway. I think that's another thing we're discussing and talking about on that episode that's missing, about literally whether it is best to do where you do it in the first growth stage, as I always do, or whether you leave it for the really dark orange, the deepest, where you get the 50% bonus. I truly still think that actually doing it without the extra 50% bonus, but to be able to cut quicker, when you think of all those growth stages, the very light green, the darker green, the dark green, and then the very dark green, and then you've got the light orange, the medium orange, and the dark orange, all of those different growth stages, and of course the harvested growth stage. About eight or nine growth stages in total from harvested to fully where it's at its best of any kind of crop, but obviously grass is the one that we're dealing with, so let's get the sun in. Okay, so then actually, on earth I've dragged the Volvo when I know that the four bales that the Volvo would be dragging are actually in that field, aren't they? Oh, I don't know. Talk about not paying attention. Mr. Smith, what am I like? It's not a memory thing. I've just seen things. Right. Anyway. I will berate myself yet more silently, inwardly. Right, let's take this and let's see if we can avoid the gate and him saying that there's an object in his way. Which you know what they're like. Started, as the saying goes. Yeah, we're literally going over this debate with the growth stages, and I did come to the conclusion I'd like to run scientific tests, obviously, and run, I don't know whether it be a parallel season. We're going that way anyway, so let's release it's very slow. It does give you. I think the danger stage is literally, I sort of panic, and as soon as I see that blue light that they've reached the trigger endpoint, because I've had Courseplay absolutely crash my system so many times, you don't want to take any chance. Well, there's some recording the distance. You don't want to take any chance with there I've got the bearings. What I am going to do is I'm going to go grab him whether I get 5 minutes or not. There's no way I'm risking this recording session going down in flames. Well, actually the recording session wouldn't. This would be an unexplained mystery of another sort, because if I'd recorded this, the recording would still exist. However, if Courseplay crashes your game, where is it? Where's that? If Courseplay crashes your game, the game doesn't save. So I would have footage that didn't exist in the game, which is actually even worse than lost footage, because I would have had evidence of progress that no longer existed. Talk about the time paradox. Right, anyway, let's just go get those bales and drop them off at the VGA. This is getting a bit Doctor Who-y now. We're talking about paradoxes of time, or a bit sci-fi, which I'm a firm fan of. I'm every kind of... I was obviously brought up with Star Wars, to be honest. 1977, I was an 8-year-old waiting for 3 or 4 hours in the queue. That's how much of a fan of Star Wars I was, and I have been ever since. And equally, I do love Star Trek. In fact, to be honest, there's not much science fiction I don't really like. Some of it's obviously better than others. But yeah, I am a very, very big sci-fi fan. I won't go into discussing the original Star Wars versus the clone ones and that with the superior special effects, but unfortunately, I don't know, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, the originals, there was just something about them, the presence. Harrison Ford's always had that presence, which is why he's done so well. The character, Han Solo, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the Jedis. There's just something about Han Solo, his performance in all of those films. When you consider the low budget that the original Star Wars was done with in comparison, what happened? I'm waffling on. Oh, I'm waffling on, and I have left my bales. Let's just leave those parked up at the side of the road for one brief second whilst we go and fetch the bales. And let's do this properly. I just cannot believe that I went to the bales and then just chat around. I can, of course, I am very passionate about, oh dear, these cars can't figure out that... Now then, this is what I was on about. We see all these cars running down here. If you go so far away, which I was trying to do on that episode where I was stuck on this gate post, if you go far enough away, the cars actually disappear, but I think if you've got an object in the road, this would be a true test for this actually, I think it treats it differently. Let's grab these. So this is not a bad test of game physics. I must admit I'm a firm believer in trying to get to grips with how the game mechanics work. as you know, and with my animal cleaning mod, not always to the best of. Yeah, no, they are actually. Again, that does prove, I suppose, game mechanics. If you have got an object in the road, like a tractor or something, then the normal disappearing traffic doesn't disappear. What's it trying to do? It's a mad lorry. Yeah, I'm coming. I'm sorry for blocking the road, but you guys should have learned in your driving lessons that you can overtake. Is it allowed? Anyway, enough berating the skills of these drivers. Let's just get these to the beach and hope that nobody is a really horrible person who wants to get out and have an incident of road rage in Farm Simulator 19. Right. Okay, so then, yeah, as I said, Star Wars, the original ones were, in my opinion, undoubtedly the best, and I am happy to stand by my opinion, of which I am allowed. It doesn't mean to say that I expect people to agree with my opinion. So I am not trying to start a war. This is just a personal opinion, a personal preference, and I do not apologise for that. So this should be another one. Wow, I am absolutely amazed at how everything sort of come together at once. I know obviously the Animal Clean mod stopped things for an awful long time, but it seems to be coming to a head with the new field and those 40 bales and the manure. That's right. So I can guess himself now with the manure and all of the selling of that and all the rest of it. We have sort of come to a head, even getting rid of the loan. All sort of in the space of a couple of episodes. It's nice when things come to a head like that. It really is. Expect bales pull in, that is the question. That's the thing where it goes so high. We shall have to see. We're going to speed time up. And I'm going to try to speed up a little bit more than normal because I am painfully aware that in some of these sessions, I'm sometimes sitting there for 5 minutes with you guys, waiting for the digest, or actually longer. There have been some sessions where I think, oh, Gordon Bennett. I'm talking about things that I can't stop the recording or cut the sessions out because I'm talking about important things. But all we're doing is looking at this digester, so I am trying to speed this up so that it's not so painful as it has been in previous episodes. Again, I am only learning. Please don't blame me. I am trying to get the balance right, and there's obviously a learning process involved in this, so please bear with me. But by all means, I am open to suggestions and guidance. One more click. Now, I had a theory that the randomness was down to knocking the time up to beyond 60, because it seemed to me, looking back on the editing, every time I clicked to 60 times, that this randomness stopped. But I've just disproved that theory, because we're now at 120 to try to get them done quicker, and they're still going strong. So it is totally random. It always seems to be when you're down at about 4 or 5, and I don't. Yeah, there we go. What is it? Why would it do that? I don't get it. Right, anyway, let's go down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it's 35,000, so we need it down to 15 odd thousand before we can drop those in. And then we'll get the ones behind. We'll leave it at about 15 with speed once we've got that down to what we need it. And then we might have time we've got that in place, that we will accept those. Off that one. Hopefully we won't have any arguments mess with the corner of the digester and that concrete plinth, which tipped me over the last time I was in this area with the... it's annoying, that is, because I can normally flip myself up. When I first played this, I played on a map that isn't one of the most popular, and yet it's still to this day, apart from the fact that now it's not seasons ready, so therefore, to be honest, recently I have only played Seasons of Precision Farming because I love the challenge, and I actually love the challenge of the start from scratch bit. Right, I really do. I just think it's so challenging to do that. So nearly all of my starts start from scratch. There are some maps where it's difficult. One of my most I did Marwa Manor with the start from scratch, and that is a huge disappointment because not Marwa Manor itself. I am not attacking. The map is fantastic, but what I didn't like was I did start from scratch with the hope that I would be able to buy the farmyard, because I do love that setup, but I wanted the challenge of building up, so I did it this way, did the grass. Actually was by the shop, there's a couple of grass fields up there, so I literally bought those grass fields. Never thought anything of it, literally got to the point where end of season 1 I wanted to do pretty much what we're doing this time. I didn't do animals on that one, I might add, literally it was just grass. Got to the point where I bought the farmyard. I bought the farmyard, took all of my tractors and that over to the farmyard, and all the buildings weren't there, and I thought, because I do like the layout of the yard and all the kit that you get, it's just empty space, and you like think, really? I just wanted to buy it the year after. But of course that is actually, I'm not going to go at anybody, that is the most common way that things actually happen. For nearly all scraps. Slow time down to times 1. Forgotten how late it was in the afternoon and now turning to evening. Let's switch some lights on. Amazing lights on this little mod. Now I shouldn't make too much of a mess of lifting these, for apart from the fact they are very close, and so the big bag handler, as I showed last time, you really have got to get your angles sort of right, angle it down halfway through, and you might get away with not lifting the back ones. Might. See, I've only got 3, not 4, so nearly got it right. Which I did lift 4, because I think 4 is when this starts to get a bit weird, heaviness wise. Like, you can get away with 3, that much I figured out, but 4, not so much. Something like that. Let's get that last bit. Because that literally I'm not going to do the digestate this time. I'm going to leave that for another episode. Because literally this is more about testing and catching up with you guys as to why we're up to such a huge amount of money, and you know, the other bales. I just want to go through literally a sort of catch-up session, which I hope I'm not going to have to do too much, because it's obviously still missing all the work, and that's really what this is about. It is me scanning the field. It's all about precision farming, and then one entire session about that very thing is missing from the recording. So yeah, let's go and get that. And then we will see how much we've got, and I'm literally going to leave it so that I love the lights in this game. I do. That's one thing I do. Actually, love dragging you guys through, seeing the streets of the town at night. It has all of the light blur that they've got on this. Really does. Giants have really done a fantastic. I'm looking forward to FS22 an awful lot, as I know a lot of people are. But I think there is so much to celebrate about FS19. I know there are wood cutting still needs some work. I have Lumberjack on. That is one of my absolute favourite mods, because I actually do like wood cutting. It's just like I've not done any. That's right. I was actually going into the first map I did, Sudbury Meadows. That was my first foray. I was talking about flipping tractors. Now on that there is a big. What I would actually do eventually, once I got a grip of game mechanics and the best way to do things, was I would grab the new farmer start. I would literally sell every last little thing that I'd got, and I would buy the wood that's literally by the main farm. I'd put a wood sale point, because it was, even at that point, even though that's not very far from the wood yard in that map, I was trying to fine tune everything with that map and about the speed of getting things. I think I used the wood autoloader, but my main point is I would flip tractors, something chronic, because it's so hilly, that particular map, that you get, obviously the big thing is you've got a load of wood worth 50 grand or 35 grand, and the last thing you want to be doing is resetting that trailer and lose all of your hard work for a session, or for I've got something coming past, and I'm going to try and recover from this by reversing and getting a better angle. Let's make sure I've got time. That's the trouble when you're talking, not paying attention. It's caught left hand side, I would say, so I should, in theory, be able to. Or not. Okay, so still managed to. What have I done? I've actually now. Oh, really? We're going to do that again? What? How did it do that? There's no way that Sammy has got the power to wrap that to that extent. Okay. This time. Okay, we were going to wrap it up anyway, so I'll tell you what we're going to do. This time I am, for once, going to use game mechanics to my advantage. What I shall do is I shall go into park in the forecourts of the local garage. I'm going to go buy a bag of crisps in the shop there, which is a maze. Right, okay, I'm going to go in this shop, which is short. Seems a bit wrong for a garage at this time of night, never mind. I know the local owners. I'm going to go and have a word, and I'm going to leave it at this point. And when we come back, I'm going to pretend that that never happened, that accident and the train wreck over there. It does look like, actually, the game mechanics have already kicked in. So let's try and fix this issue. Oh god, cars going up now. Sure, they wait for you to be in a vehicle before they pop. Yeah, here we go. Right, so, yeah. I know. Park on the pavement. Very naughty. Right, so we are literally going to leave it at this point. I'm going to do a test in a minute, just to see if the second recording pops. And, yes, thank you guys for watching. I do apologise once more that my recording software is, well, I'm not going to point the finger at D3D, but I do, to be honest, it's one of those things. C'est la vie, these things happen, they truly do, so I'm not blaming anybody. It is what it is. But I am paying attention. I've got a frame counter on now for my reference that I know that I'm recording, although you can get that on any, but it does prove that the software's active. So I'm going to end the recording here. Thank you guys for watching, and I shall catch up with you later. Bye. Test, test, test. This is a test to see if I can. It says start recording on the screen. I've got my frame rate up. This is to see if my D3D software will record in the middle of a session when I have ended one recording and started another. I think that will do for the test. Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Test over.